Hi, Steve Lewis here. Welcome to another edition of Fit for Function. Today's functional activity is going to be walking. We're going to use a pre-positioning technique with a fixed hand and foot position to get the body into a walking style position so we can then create the motion required to make us successful at walking. The body is designed to react to gravity and ground reaction and momentum. So we need to give the body the ability to be able to load efficiently to be able to handle with all those different forces. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself as if I'm walking down the street. So I've got myself with my left foot forward and my right arm swinging out in front. My left arm is going to grab onto a post behind me, and from there, as you can see, I'm kind of set up in a walking position. So this is a good strong walk as if I'm walking with a bit of pace down the street. I'm now going to basically try and get at the different motions of the hips so that we can create the motion that we need and the loading ability that we need to be successful to walk. So I'm going to use a proximal driver using a hip driver, meaning we're close to the centre of the body. And this proximal driver, we're going to go three planes. We're going to go sagittal plane, we're going to go frontal plane, and from there we're going to go transverse plane. So those three motions there are feeding or upregulating motion, as Zeno Dwyer would say, through the whole system relative to walking. Through understanding chain reaction biomechanics, we know that to walk we need to get the back leg to extend, we need it to abduct, and we need it to internally rotate as a result of the pelvis coming around over the top of it. We also know that we need the front leg to go into a flex position at the hip. We need to go into an adductive position at the hip, so we're going to adduction, and then we need to go into a slight internal rotation. So by using a sagittal plane driver, so an anterior driver, I get basically the hip extension, the hip flexion. Using the frontal plane to my left on this left side, I get adduction of this hip and abduction of this hip. So as we load the frontal plane joints and muscles, ligaments and fascia. And then we've got the transverse plane, where if I rotate this way I get internal rotation at this back hip in a real sense, in a relative sense, sorry. And then if I rotate this way I get internal rotation at this hip. So I go right to left, right to left. Again, as I go through my different motions, I get a feed up into the system. So if with my hands fixed, as I come forwards, I'm getting a lengthening of my abdominals from my left shoulder through to my right hip. So as Chuck Wolf often says, we get this sort of anterior X going from this hip here to this shoulder. So we get that going. We've got the nice position of the thoracic spine. Frontal plane again, with my head staying upright and my hip going to the left, I get a left lateral flexion. And again, as I rotate my hips like so, then I get rotation of the thoracic to the left and to the right, and we get a beautiful stretch through the abdominal structure and through the lumbar thoracic region. So we're freeing up the hips, we're freeing up the connection of the hips to the lower spine, the lumbar spine and the thoracic spine, and then through the shoulder. We then of course change to the other side, exactly the same thing, and from there we then load it with our walking, go for a walk. Best way to load function is to actually go out and do that function. So we use our techniques to create the motion, we then go out, perform the motion, and reap the benefits. The more we do this, the more we start feeding good motion into the system, creating what we call good attractor wells, or good wells of motion, then the better we're going to be, and hopefully the more fun we're going to have in the future. At the end of the day, it's all about having a bit of fun and doing the things that we enjoy. Thanks again for watching Fit for Function. My name's Steve Lewis, and I'll see you again soon.